Now nearing the end of the series on monks and the monastic traditions, it's time to look at the feats for monks and what I think are some really fun ones that you can use. So let's get into it. Hey fellow Game Masters, I'm Richard Quiner, and welcome back to the RPG Daily, your daily dose of all things tabletop role-playing games, helping you build your world and master your game. Now today we're talking about the feats of the monk, and you saw over this series I didn't really touch on the feats for each of the monastic traditions, because as I did the previous classes, the Artificer and the Cleric, and the Barbarian and such, I felt like I just kept repeating myself every single episode of those paths, because for a lot of these the feats just play in well no matter what subclass you pick. And for some of these, the feats just play in well with every class, no matter what class you pick. So for today, I just wanted to pick some feats that I thought would be fun to use as a monk, that I think could really enhance the gameplay and make your character stand out and be a little interesting. Let me know in the comments below your favorite feats for monks and why, because that's what it's all about. Let's share our opinions and talk about it. Going in no particular order, first up I picked Alert. This feat is one of those that some DMs outright ban. They say you can't have Alert. Same with Lucky is another feat that some DMs just don't let the players take, which I personally think is a little silly. If it's in the game, it should be on the table, and a DM should be able to handle it no matter what. When you pick the Alert feat, you automatically gain a +5 to your initiative rolls, which makes you really get ahead of the curve in a combat situation. You can just really get into the fight faster. On top of that, you cannot be surprised while you are conscious, so things can't sneak up on you, which is also really great. And last, if there's a creature that decided to hide from you to try and get advantage on an attack from the shadows, they don't get that advantage just because they're hidden. That's Alert. You're very much more aware of your surroundings and ready to see things and ready to act quickly. I think this is a good feat for just any class, really, if the DM allows it. But for monks, I think being able to see the situation, get ahead of it, and get into a good position to do what you do best is supremely valuable. Next, I picked Defensive Duelist. Now this one, a lot of times when I was looking at this, I would pick feats that I was like, oh, of course, these feats. But this one I saw, and I was like, that's actually kind of an interesting one. This feat works when you are wielding a finesse weapon that you are proficient in. As a reaction, you can add your proficiency bonus to your armor class. So when someone attacks you and it looks like they might hit you, you can instead use this feat to defend yourself with your finesse weapon, so to speak, add that extra bonus to your armor class, and potentially get a miss instead of a hit. The downside of this is it kind of limits your monk weapon to a dagger or a short sword, because those are really the only two finesse monk weapons that are out there. If you were doing like a Way of a Kinsei monk, where you have access to other martial weapons, you could potentially pick a weapon that is also a finesse and use that. I think that could be really powerful. But that bonus to your armor class to keep you alive and keep you fighting is really great. And as a reaction, you can use it once per round, which I think that's enough usage. Next, I picked the Grappler feat, which is for the monks who want to get right up and close to their targets and really get into the fight with them. The first thing you gain from this is when you have a target that is grappled, you gain advantage on all attacks against it. So essentially, if you are able to grapple a creature and then do unarmed strikes or flurry of blows or something like that, you can just keep hitting that creature over and over again. The other option is you can try to pin a creature, and this, once you have it grappled, you can make another grapple check, and if you do that, you and the creature are both restrained. The creature is restrained, but you're restrained, but that also means your allies can come pummel on the creature that is restrained. So I think that's a good thing. But the main thing I wanted to look at this feat for was that instant advantage on creatures who are grappled. It's kind of like you could call it the ground and pound, or like, you grab them, you punch them. I don't watch fighting. I don't know what the terms are, but you get the idea. Next, I had picked the feat Mobile. Now this one adds on to the monk's already amazing agility and speed by first giving you another 10 foot of movement speed on your turn, which for some monks will boost it up to like 50 or 55 feet depending on your race. Also on this, when you make and dash action on your turn, difficult terrain doesn't slow you down, which normally it would have your speed. In this case, you can move your full speed through difficult terrain with your dash. And the last part of this is when you make a melee attack against a creature, that creature cannot make any opportunity attacks against you for the rest of the turn. And that doesn't mean if you make the melee weapon attack and hit it, it just means if you make the attack. This is the bread and butter of this feat that I really wanted to focus on for monks, being able to get in fast, hit things, and being able to get away without having to spend an action to disengage or do anything like that. You can just hit and move away. You can split your movement up after the attack, that sort of things. It just really sets you up to be more mobile and get in and out quickly, and I like that. I would also say I have a player in one of my campaigns that uses this, and it's supremely frustrating from my perspective as the DM. So it's a good thing. And the last monk feat I wanted to point out was Martial Adept. Maybe I picked it because it said martial and monks use martial arts, or maybe I see this as a extended key point kind of system that you can tie into your monk. When you pick Martial Adept, you are able to pick 2 battle maneuvers from the Battle Master maneuver list. I haven't done a video on the Battle Master. I haven't done a video on maneuvers. So if you want the full rundown of those, go look into them. There's some really interesting techniques you can use. Also, when you get this, you gain 1d6 superiority die, which is the resource that a Battle Master uses in their playstyle. What this means is, as a monk, you can expend that 1d6 superiority die to inflict a maneuver on an ally or an enemy, whichever one. The d6 usually applies extra damage on the maneuver, and it just gives you a little extra something you can do. That d6 is then expended until that d6 is then spent until you regain it after a short or long rest. A couple of the maneuvers that I think would work well for monk are trip attack, reaching attack, evasive footwork, and sweeping attack. So that's it in a nutshell. My 5 picks. These are things I would probably pick if I were playing a monk, just to give myself a little more interesting play style. What are your choices? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think about these monk feats. Let's talk about it. I've been Richard. Thanks for watching.